Hi, welcome to Show and Sell Picker. My name is Scott. It's been a hot minute since I've done one of these longer form videos, but I thought I would take the opportunity and play catch up and show you some items and show you what give you my thoughts on things that have been going on. I welcome any comments. Hit me up down below if you see anything that you think is interesting and well, specifically to that end, I was going to show you some items that I picked up in a recent auction. And three of the items, each were quite valuable for what I paid for them. And so as you're looking at the items in the upcoming clips, keep in mind there are three items that, well, let's just say it's the old song, one of these things is not like the other. Pick out the three items that you think are worth the most. And then after the clips, we'll come back at the end and I'll give you my thoughts on the items and give you some dollar figures maybe, and we'll talk a little bit about that. I did want to touch base on some things that were going on in my stores. Like a lot of you, business was booming in December. After the holidays, nosedive. The last couple of years, I've actually done well in January and February. And in fact, this year, January was quite good for me. February, however, the last couple of weeks, business has really fallen off. Not a complaint. Everyone's, getting ready. It's, getting those taxes ready and trying to get together, that payment. I did have, if you watch any of my shorts, check them out if you haven't. I had a return recently, and I did a video specifically about that. Not so much although they used the exact phrase, but basically, what are your thoughts about returns? Now, myself, I say no returns, but of course, everyone likes to remind you they will force you to take a return. Yes, I know, but I'm kind of the mind that, well, remember a couple of years ago when a lot of cities basically said that they sort of instituted a catch and release program with shoplifters. Basically, if it was under $1,000, they just let you go. And we're all very familiar with the videos of, the word went out that, steal as you might and nothing's going to happen to you. Now, I don't want to get into the politics of whether it was right or wrong or the incarceration rates between this group and that group. I want to talk about, as it relates to reselling, the idea that once you allow something or once you take the cap off of something, you're going to get more of that. So, there was always shoplifting, but once, the word went out that, nothing was going to happen to you, even if you stole up, something that was of significant value, but below, say, $1,000. And specifically that, when the word went out that even if they see you stealing, they are not to stop you from stealing, it became rampant. There were entire cities. This is not hyperbole. This is just a fact that the word went out that, it was a green light on shoplifting, and consequently, there are cities. One that sticks out is San Francisco, where major retailers just basically said, "We're closing shop. We're not going to do business here anymore because we can't make any money because our inventory is just going out." And that's kind of how I am. All of that does relate to reselling. That's how I feel about returns. I know that other people have differing opinions. That's okay. We're all allowed to have a wrong opinion, including me. But basically, I think that if you allow returns, you're going to get a lot of returns, or at least you're going to get more returns than you would otherwise. I think that even those that believe that everyone should do returns, I think they would acknowledge that they get more returns than they would if they just said they weren't doing returns. Now, if you want to argue whether or not that's yes, but people like returns and they're going to shop where they can do returns, and that's another argument. But specifically, if you allow returns, you're going to get more returns, and that's why I decided to not do returns. And yes, once again, I know that they will force me, but that's not even what this is about. What this is about is the language of the person who's trying to get a refund, specifically a partial refund. If you watch my recent video, you will have seen someone reached out to me and they had a problem. Now it may very well have been a legitimate complaint, a legitimate problem. Obviously some are going to be. However, it followed the pattern, and I would advise anyone who is sending something in or going to contact a store, don't do this, which is the person reached out and they were verbose. There was a lot of language in, I did this and this was the problem and I took it from here and went to there and A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3. However, at the end, and again, I've had this in other returns where they are incredibly detailed with the language that they're using regarding the problem that they had. However, they suddenly become mild, you could argue coy, when they get to the what can be done. There's something about that language that it sounds so phony. Clearly, the person either wants a return or they want a part of their money back. But when you couch the message in the detail, vague, I just immediately think, yeah, this person is they might as well have a fishing pole in their hand. They are just looking for a return, and it sounds so funny. There's I forget what the classic example is, but it's all car thieves are criminals, but not all criminals are car thieves. I don't think that everybody who tries to get a return is trying to get one over on you. However, I think when that language is invoked, I think it comes a lot closer to being someone who's just looking for a partial return. So if you ever find yourself needing to do a return or having an issue, just be straightforward and don't try and dance, because to some sellers, to some resellers like myself, it just comes across as phony. While I'm on the subject there of language with returns or messages in general, and this isn't strictly, it's just on my mind with the platforms of both YouTube and eBay, messages back and forth, and returns or problems where when someone sets up an account for eBay, they want to purchase on the platform, and they have a certain level of intellect, so that they register and they have their address and they have their credit cards or their banking information or their PayPal or this or that or the other. And it's, while not the same, it's similar to 1,000 other, registrations that you've done in the course of your life. And if you're unfamiliar with a new website, we're all familiar with the process. Every form has name and address, right? But for some reason, people throw up this roadblock. Have you ever tried to teach, let's say, a teenager how to do, how to use the washing machine? But they don't want to use the washing machine. They want you to use the washing machine and wash their clothes. I was as guilty of this as a teenager as the next person. So, so you explain it to them, and there's just a roadblock of a mental block of I don't understand. I can't. That's just you should do it. And in fact, some people even use the language. It's just easier if you do it. You're so good at it. Well, you get a little of that with eBay. I've gotten it on more than one return, more than one message. Not even a return. One that sticks out a couple of months ago. Someone who had exchanged, if you told me it was 20 messages prior to a purchase, lots of questions, lots of answers, leading to more questions. And as soon as they purchased, within 5 minutes of making the purchase, they wanted to cancel the purchase. And it was basically, it turned into you go do cancel, do X, Y, or Z, you take care of it. And I basically said, click this button, click that, because as resellers we want them to show eBay that they're canceling, not that we're canceling. And an immediate pushback of and again, I'm probably not telling it correctly, but it was question, a lot of exchanges followed by sale and an immediate, I want to cancel this sale. And this was the part, there was an emergency with my family. And I'm like, oh yeah, well, just, go to the side there's a button, request to cancel. And then an immediate message back of and literally the words were, my family comes first. You need to take care of this, blah, 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 blah. But and I was just like, what could have happened? No, it was a roadblock between for whatever reason the person wanted to back out of the sale. It was the immediate roadblock of, I don't want to learn this. I don't want to do this. I want you to do this. Not a fan of that in my personal life. I don't know about you. Let's see here. One new thing, at least, and it does affect my reselling. People are always talking about projects, profits, not projects. I made a major purchase. It seems like it was just after the holidays. It might have been just before, but I would have to look at. I'm not great with dates anymore. I used to be good with them, but I'm not anymore. I purchased probably 20 Lego sets from an adult collector. What I've been doing is I've actually been going through the sets and assembling each one with the box behind to show everything, and then I can give a knowledgeable answer about whether it's complete or not. And some have been 99% complete. I know a lot of resellers, they don't, not just Legos, but they don't want anything that takes an extra step or two. In my own case, I'm going to say I knew it was going to be a little time consuming, but I figured I could once in a while put a Lego set together in the evening while I was watching TV, and otherwise not involved with my busy day. But a couple of years ago, I had a family member who was diagnosed with dementia, and I have read in more than one place that it's good exercise to a good mental exercise to do puzzles, games, even things as simple as find a word, and hopefully it's quite a few years off before I have to worry about something like dementia. But I figured, maybe it's not the worst thing to every now and then do a puzzle, read a book, do something that's a little, stretch that part of my brain that, I probably haven't exercised since I was a, child, teenager, university. And the bright side is a few of the sets have sold for a ton. Specifically, I sold a Lego Arena set, NBA Arena set with a bunch of figures, sold for, I think it was like $450. Luckily, it was an international sale, so zero chance of it being a return. And but that's one of the things that I've been doing the last couple of months. Well, I think I just had a couple of things written down that I wanted to talk about, and I did. So let's jump into that auction that I was talking about. Keep an eye out for any items that you think might be a little more valuable than the others, and I will talk about them when we come back. Here's one of the boxes that I picked up in my latest auction. A couple of vintage pennants from Lookout Mountain and Rock City, a Stroh's beer tap, and a couple of perpetual clocks, as well as two long horse-headed shoehorns. Also among the items that I picked up recently, this vintage Hobart scale, which does work, but it's also very heavy. Another lot, picked up an Oscar Coleman cooler. I think 1 Foot Flipper says that those lids are have some value, so that's why I picked the cooler up. I think this was part of a separate lot. Yeah, what does it say here? Something clever, I'm sure. Vintage figurines and bottles in coin glass bowl. So there's your glass bowl. I didn't have any. I did not have any bubble wrap or paper when I picked up my last lot. So I used some hats that were in another purchase. The figurines. There we go. I think these are just a bunch of Japanese curios. Hat. Power Sporting Goods, Middleton, Tennessee. more. Glass stopper that actually looks broken. I did it. A cooler that needs cleaning out, some hats that need to be washed, and a bunch of little curios. About twice as big and heavy as I thought it was going to be, this SoundSphere speaker was one of the items that I picked up in the most recent auction. Here we have 2 lots from my latest pickup. Apparently somebody really wanted that silver dollar that they used to put in the belt buckles. Depending on where you are in the United States as this video is being shown, it's cold outside, so I opted to bring in at least part of the items that are still in my car. They aren't necessarily in any particular order, because when you get them in lots, they just they group them, and it's very easy to, did this item go with this item, or was this originally with another item? In any event, these are all mine, but I thought I'd give you a chance to take a peek at what I've got. Here are some of the tags. Let's see here. They're very descriptive. Tray full of cool old junk. And it's pretty accurate, at least the junk part. I actually don't know what I've got, or at least I don't know what lots of the little knickknacks are. So you might see something before me, actually. Let's look at a few quick here. Some kind of a game, maybe, or I don't know. Pickles, Gap Creek, Conway, I don't know. Oh, be careful. An old fishing lure. And a lot of leads, pencil leads. I wish there were some the ink cartridges. That would help. Just leads. Nice ashtray that should clean up. And what is it, for a sharpshooter or some sort of a, sometimes the older metals, these particular marksman metals, are actually sterling. Rose advertising, you saw that already. Two felt pennants, you saw those. They're Parker erasers, 10. Oh, that might have value. So the belt buckles, Canadian Club Reserve. Depending on how many are online, that might have value. A nice little tray, although I don't know how much it's worth. And I actually purchased this individually. I paid $2 for this. This was the only item. This was alone. Just an old plastic bush tray. And here we, oh, that's the tray full of cool junk. I went ahead and poured out the little baggie here onto the tray. Went through it a bit. Figured I'd point out a few of the more interesting things. A bunch of keys and a lot of luggage keys. American Tourister, Samsonite, things that like old luggage keys. I'm not sure why somebody would have that many that were marked and in little baggies. And a bunch of key rings. I can almost read that one. There's a house symbol on it, whatever it was. This, as large as it is, something tells me this is a hotel room key because it has a little number right there. I did leave one thing out of the cool tray, a little set of duck figurines. At first I thought all of the wings were broken, but no, I guess it's they're meant to kind of look like they were in flight or maybe flying. In transport, I lost the tag for this particular lot. I'm sure it had something clever like cool tray or tray of antique junk or something like that, but I don't remember what is in here. But let's take a look. Oh, this was something about flashlights. I do remember that. We have some vintage flashlights. Looks like something off of Breaking Bad. A turn signal, maybe. I don't know. That says a remote starter switch. It's in here. Looks like some kind of a gauge that's broken, but I don't know. And a bag of old pens and pencils. I've gotten lucky a few times with these items. A lot of times people don't go through old pens, and you'll find old Parkers or something like that in there. There's not always a lot of value, but sometimes it's 20, 20, 20. And you can also put them all together and sell them as one big lot. And some old Prairie Farms. Another screwdriver. A couple Prairie Farms Frisbees, very dirty, need to be cleaned up a little. A giveaway probably from gas station, maybe. Kind of a plane, just some ephemera. dirty. Bob and Dick's Phillips 66 service. Sign. There you have. Oh, one more. Do me a favor. If you've seen anything that you liked in this video, hit like. Even better, hit that alarm bell, and YouTube, the darlings that they are, will alert you when future videos drop. And even better, hit subscribe. I throw up these videos, well, the longer form videos maybe a little more inconsistently, but I throw up shorts almost daily. And I really like to share them with you. I usually show you a recent sale and, well, just some other nonsense that I babble about for 45 seconds to a minute and a half at a time. But I did want to touch, make a couple of last comments about the Legos. Some of you may remember, I've referred to it in some of my videos, that I did a monster private pick last summer. And, you know, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. I took all of those totes and I just gradually whittled them down until, you know, I went from, you know, 20 totes, 20 bags, to, you know, to 10, to 5, to, you know, just a few. And one of the, you know, strewn across multiple bags were sets of Legos with neither the instructions nor the boxes. But to the end of trying to exercise the noodle when I can, I identified, you know, one small piece at a time, you know, one figure or one vehicle or something, and was able to piece together multiple sets. Some, you know, were, you know, half complete, and some were mostly complete, but all have value, and I'm going to be able to sell those. And I would encourage you, you know, those of you that have, you know, dementia in your family, maybe it's not the worst thing in the world to take a minute or two now and again to exercise your brain. What's the expression? Couldn't wait. You know, hopefully, you know, as we get older, things are going to happen to all of us. But we can fight the good fight until then. The items that we were talking about, did you pick out the three? Do you have them in front of you? I'm just going to go down the list. It's literally the my sheet from the auction. The Stroh's advertising. I believe it's actually the tap. Paid $6. I'm going to say that's probably going to sell for 20. Something like that. A couple of vintage felt pennants. I paid 16. I'm hoping that they will sell for maybe 30 each. I've had surprisingly good luck with pennants. They aren't fast sellers, but they're easy to store, and you just need the right buyer. The vintage scale. May surprise you that was one of the items that has significant value for what it is. It looks like what it is. It's literally the scale that would sit on a counter in a deli or a butcher shop at an old grocery store. It's a Hobart. It is it's super heavy. It's the size that when I purchased it, it was the size that I thought it would be, but it is 4 or 5 times as heavy as I thought it was going to be. I think it weighs, I'm not exaggerating, about 40 pounds. So I'm probably just going to list, I don't know if it's live yet, but I'm just going to do a local pickup on that because I don't want to deal with the myriad questions that go along with trying to answer it. But I think it should sell for about, I'm going to say 300 right now. Like a lot of scales, old scales, they only go up so high. I think it actually only weighs up to about 50, in terms of what it will measure, that is, 15 or 20 pounds. Push comes to shove, I actually paid for that scale $10. So push comes to shove, I will actually use it for my business because it's a neat looking old scale. It has a giant, it's actually the best tray to weigh things, and because it is under 15 pounds, I would probably get a lot of use out of it. And it's manual. It doesn't take electricity, so on those days when the power's out. The vintage belt buckles. There were 3. I paid $26. I'm hoping to get $20, $25 each. The vintage shoehorns. I paid $35 for that. I don't remember offhand what I have those listed for. I'm going to say probably about $60. Not great. And I may be less than that. Maybe that I think they'll sell for 30 each. One will pay for the other. So all the profits in the second item. The vintage automotive parts and paper goods. A lot. Those of you that go to auctions or auction lots may be aware that there is a certain language that goes into how they title. The best ones will say it's a Hobart scale. And then the next one down is a vintage scale. And the one after that is like vintage deli goods or something like that. That, it'll get really vague about what the items are. This particular one says vintage automotive items, paper goods. So my memory is, because this is a month and a half ago or a month ago that I purchased these items, I don't remember, like, for example, I had a bag of pens. I don't remember if the pens were with the paper goods or if they were in the one that was labeled cool junk. I would have to go look at the picture. But the vintage automotive items, there were a couple of things, an old tire gauge. There were a couple of car emblems. There was an old, like a 57 Bel Air, I think it was a 57 Bel Air emblem, and another one that was a Chevy. Those are actually good value. I paid $10, excuse me, yeah, $10 for that lot, and those emblems actually sell up. So I will make all my money back, even the paper goods. Like I think one of the paper goods was a paper airplane that was still on the sheet. You know, it was multiple items. I just get those. I like to break them down, see what each item is worth. A lot of the stuff gets donated. Not everything sells, but I usually end up coming way out ahead on that kind of stuff, because it only takes one item to pay for everything. And then if you sell one or two after that, you're doing great. The next one was Tray of Cool Junk. That's what I was talking about, the titles. Paid $22 for a tray of cool junk. Paid $24 for the flashlights and the tools. One of the tools was actually, it was a tractor wrench, which I thought was odd, and it sells well. It's a cast iron tractor wrench. Another was a tail light for an airplane. It looked like something off of a car, but it was actually the tail light from a plane. Just weird things that you find in these old boxes, old lots like this. Listed as 2 perpetual clocks, I paid $11. Actually, one is a clock. It was from when I was a kid. That was what actually made me see it when I pay attention to it when I saw it in the box. It was like 30 little round metal balls that roll back and forth, and it's an electric clock, but it doesn't have hands. And as soon as I got it and started looking at it, I'm like, I'm not going to put this thing together. So I'm just selling it for parts. But it was fun to actually see it up close, because I haven't even thought about one of those since I was 11. Let's see here, what else? Oh, the other is a windlass chime. It's in fairly decent shape, except for the magnet. You flip it upside down, and all these little beads stick to the top, but the magnetic field is just faint enough that they slowly drop onto chimes below. And of course, the magnetic field is, it's either missing the magnet or the magnetic field became weak over time. So now it was just, parts. About $11 for both of those. The second item that was of value, and probably not a surprise to a lot of you, the snap-on belt buckle, which I paid $12 for, and I actually profited about $150 after paying fees, after everything. Basically, I was like a 145, 150, right in that range, and it's already sold. It's sold almost immediately. The Busch beer tray, I paid $2 for, and it's probably worth about $20. And at some point, if it doesn't sell, I'll throw it. You can't see it here, but above my bar, I have a bunch of clocks and trays from liquor companies, tobacco companies, that sort of thing. And if it doesn't sell, it'll just go up on there with the rest of them. The vintage board games, I about a month and a half ago, I sold almost daily a series of vintage board games. I'd sell them in Monopoly one day, and I raised the Titanic or something like that, a Titanic board game I did a short about that I sold. So I picked up a few old board games, one of which was an Ideal original mousetrap game. The box is not in great shape, but all of the pieces were there, and I lotted them together, and that'll pay for everything. And when the other two games sell, which were also complete, I will make a tidy sum. The vintage board games I paid $14 on. The third item of the three that were really good, when they sell, it's really good money. It is a cool, as it's written on my invoice, a cool department store speaker. Well, it is cool. It's in my car right now because it's so big and heavy. I haven't brought it into test yet. I've just been driving. I've been driving it around the city, and every time I do, somebody stops me. You know, the lady at the bank, or when I went to Walgreens, somebody will be walking by in the background. They'll see it, come over to the window, and be like, and I'm going, what? And a lady literally at Walgreens was like, what is that? You know, somebody said they thought it was a satellite. It looks like something out of Epcot, but it's a department store speaker that would hang from the ceiling, and for parts, it's probably worth $100 or $200. New, they sell into the thousands, and used, if I can find the right buyer, it's probably going to be a $300 or $400 profit. I'm undecided at this point whether I'm going to list it for whether I'm going to ship it or not. Obviously, I have to test it first, but it is I could barely fit into my car. It is just a weird old piece. It's a Sensosphere speaker, and they sell very well when they sell. I mean, talk about definition of long tail, but keep an eye out if you ever run across them. Much like the vintage scale, I thought that it was about it. I knew that it would be large, but it ended up being about twice as large and heavy as I expected it to be. And for that, the speaker, I paid $11. So if or when rather it sells, you know, I'll sell it for parts and make $100, or I'll sell it to someone who wants to use it as a speaker, and we'll probably make $300 or $400. But again, it's going to be a long tail, so keep an eye out on the shorts, because I'm sure at some point there will definitely be a video of saying how I'd meet somebody, you know, an hour and a half away, so that we could do the exchange. Purchased a box of books and price guides for $4, and I actually did manage to cull about 4 or 5 books that are worth selling from the lot. The rest of them are all going to get thrown into a yard sale that I am going to have in the spring. And after the yard sale, everything that doesn't sell goes into the back of my truck, and it's going to either Goodwill or Salvation Army, probably Salvation Army. I'm not even going to bother with listing the individual books. It's their price guides. They have they're good for research, and you know, basically some of them are large and heavy. So one sticks out just because it was a no-brainer. It was like a price guide to case knives, and it's like a $20 book. The next one, vintage figurines and bottles in a coin glass bowl. I paid $13. There was a lot of little, you know, kind of tchotchkes that you see in curio cabinets. You know, it was a lot of $8 to $10 items, and $13 for that. The Coleman cooler, I paid $6 for. 1 foot flipper. If you're out there, hey buddy. Saw where you had sold a lid, and literally when I saw it in the listing, I was like, he sold that lid, and then I was like, oh yeah, I remember seeing this on a couple of other channels as well. So when I saw it, picked it up, $6, and it probably will, you know, be a nice little profit. I'm thinking $40 to $60, somewhere in that range eventually, but it's sitting in my drafts right now. I probably am going to hold on to it for another month and a half, 2 months. You know, basically, so it is a current, recently listed item as we head into spring. A tote of vintage hats. That was another. Actually, the price guides, it was a tote without a lid. The price guides, it actually was a tote of good condition tote. So I figured that's $5, and it was it must have been 40 hats. I mean, it was a lot of hats, and the foam was disintegrating in a lot of them. There were a lot of local hats, a lot of businesses that, you know, nobody's looking for. I was able to pull out 8 or 10 hats, and they will do well. For example, there was one that I pulled out that was a black mesh trucker hat, Ford, I think it's like Ford tractor equipment, and it was up for, you know, five minutes before somebody reached out and offered me, like, you know, $10 less or $5 less than I had it listed for, and I opted to not sell it because, you know, I don't typically immediately drop the price as soon as something, you know, if I list something for 25 and I get an offer for 15 right after it goes live, I figure there's somebody, if that person has it marked, the next person will too. If he had offered $1 or $2 less or a couple of dollars less, maybe. If it was into the hundreds, and, you know, if that Census Sphere speaker, somebody offers me $20, $25 or $50 less right after it lists, yeah, maybe that I would consider, but I'm not going to, you know, lose much sleep over a hat. The point being, I bought a bunch of hats, just like the price guides. I was able to find a few that I'll make good money on, and the rest will probably, much like the collector's books, I will shake them off, throw them into a yard sale where they won't sell, and then I'll redonate them. But there you have it. That was just one of several auctions that I've been to recently. Did you see anything that you thought was, oh, that's interesting, or that's worth this, or, you know, what about that? I did sell one of the keychains, the Charles Chips keychain. I think I made $8, $6, something like that. It sold, you know, within a couple of days. The Queen quality shoehorn that was in one of the lots, I did a short about. I went down a rabbit hole in the middle of the night when it sold, and I got the bright idea to go pull it. And even though it had just recently been listed, I couldn't find it, and went down the rabbit hole manically for 3 hours. Luckily, I didn't inflict myself on my family, and it was just me alone, sweating bullets, driving myself crazy. But I found it. Oh well, it happens to all of us eventually. Well, I appreciate you watching this video. I hope you will stay tuned. You know, hit like, hit subscribe. If you have any comments, hit me up in the comments below. I'd really like to hear what you're thinking. I wish you luck in your reselling. We'll see you next time. My name is Scott.